Hey guys, welcome back again to my channel. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button and also like and comment on this video. You can as well share this video. So today's video is all about this ball gown. So I'll be showing us how to make this ball gown. Let's get started. So what I'll be doing first is that I'll be marking out the starting point. As you can see what I'm doing there, I'll mark out the starting point and I will be taking the shoulder measurement divided by 2. So I'll mark out the shoulder measurement like that, and what I will do next is that I'll mark out the neck width. So at the shoulder point I'll be coming down by half an inch. This is for the shoulder slope. I'll go ahead and I'll connect it to the neck width, as you can see. So I'll be taking the armhole measurement divided by 2, and I'll also get it down like that. Just watch carefully and you'll see what I'm doing. So I'll just mark it out like that in a straight line. So after marking this out, what I'll do next now is that I will get I will get the armhole length, because that is where I'll be marking out the chest line. That is going to be the chest line. So after getting it like that, I'll go ahead and I'll get the chest measurement divided by 4. The chest measurement divided by 4, I'll mark it out like that, and I'll also be adding 1.5 inches. While sewing, I will shape out with 1 inch and I will leave the half inch for ease. So what I'll be taking next is the half length measurement. The half length measurement plus half an inch for joining it with the down part. So I'll go ahead and I'll connect this line to a straight line, as you can see what I'm doing. So after connecting it like that, I'll go ahead and I'll also uh, mark out the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the same 1.5 inch allowance. So I'll go ahead and I'll connect these lines like that. I'll connect the two lines like that. So what I'll be doing next is that I'll come to the armhole. I'll get the midpoint of this armhole. I'll get the midpoint and I'll mark it out like that. I'll go ahead and I'll come in by 1/4 of an inch. I'll go ahead and I'll curve out the armhole. I'll curve out the armhole using the freehand method. If you have a French curve, you can use your French curve and do this. So at the upper edge here, I'll be adding 1/4 of an inch for joining the shoulders together. I'll go ahead and I will connect it. Please don't mind my baby girl, she's always by my side. So what I'll do next now is that I will take the neck width, the neck depth, I mean to say the front neck depth, which is 2.5 inches for what I'm using here. I'll mark it out like that as a square. It's easier for me to cover out the round neck. So I'll go ahead and I'll cover out the round neck like that. This is going to be my front pattern. So to get the back pattern, at the waistline there, I'll be coming in by 1.5 inches. I'll come in by 1.5 inch, and from this neck width, I'll try to connect it to the 1.5 inch, as you can see what I'm doing. Try to make yours to look a little curved. So while cutting, I'll cut out this first. I'll use it to cut out the front pattern, and I'll trim off this one and I'll use it to cut out the back pattern. So after doing that, I'll be taking down the waist measurement divided by 3.68. This is the how to get the radius of a circle. I get the waist measurement divided by 3.68. So I'll go ahead and I'll connect it like that, as you can see what I'm doing. I'll connect it like that. So what I'll be doing next now is that I'll be taking the length of the gown. The length of the gown is 30 inches, but I'll be minusing 2 inch from the satin. So I'll be minusing 2 inches, whereas my tulle or my net will be exactly 30 inches. So the 30 inches minus 11 inch for the half length, and I'll be taking out the rest of the measurements here. So I'll go ahead and I'll connect this one as well. So after connecting this one as well, I will cut it out. I'll use it to cut out the satin doll face that I used. So I'll cut here and I'll also cut here. So while cutting this on my fabric, I'll fold my fabric into four. So this is it after cutting out. This is a strip that I'll use to make the loop at the back. This is the back, as you can see, and I also cut out the lining. So I have four of this, and the front pattern I have two, one for my main gown and one for the lining. As you can see, I have cut out everything and the lining as well. So I'll just set this aside. I've also cut out my net. I'm sorry I didn't show how I cut out my net, but this is actually 6 years of net, and I got the measurement of 20 inches by 3. But I'll be making use of only 2 since I want my net to be just 2 layers. So I'll go ahead and I'll mark out this. What I have there is 14 inches. So I'll fold this into 2 like this. This is to get the gathers at the shoulder that serve as our sleeve. So I'll be getting 4 inches. 4 inches on fold like that, and I'll go ahead, I'll cut it out. I'll also cut out another 4 inches as well, as you can see. So after cutting this out, I'll open this particular place and I will refold it. Just watch carefully, you'll get what I'm doing. I'll refold this into 2 again, and I'll also fold it again. The reason for this is that I want to shape out the edge, so I want it to be like that. So what I'll do, just watch carefully. I'll go ahead and I'll trim around 1.5 inches there. So I'll go ahead and I'll trim it off like that. I'll also do the same thing for the other sleeve, as you can see. So guys, please, you can follow me on Instagram at learn to sew at home, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so what I'll do here is that I'll get my main fabric, not the lining. I'll just get the main one. So I'll place it like that, right side facing right side, and I will go ahead and hold the shoulders. That is what I'm doing. So I'll place the shoulders like that, and I'll pin it down. I'll also get the other shoulder, and I'll pin it down as well. So that is what I just did, or that is what I'm doing. So I'll pin it down like that, and I'll go ahead and I'll sew it. I'll join the two shoulders together. I'll also do the same thing for my lining. So I'll do it and I'll show you. So after joining it together, this is what I have. Since I'm using the same doll face, the same satin for the lining, I just used my chalk to identify the main one and the lining. So what I'll be doing is that I'll get this net that we cut out earlier for the shoulder, that is the little sleeve on the shoulder. So I'll get the midpoint of this net. And I'll go ahead and pin it to the shoulder seam. I'll pin it down to the shoulder seam like that. So since it's just a gather, so that is the reason I cut it out to have a little length, so that when I gather it, it will be a little fuller at the shoulder. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing for this other side of the shoulder. So after pinning it down, what I will do next is that I'll get my measuring tape. I'll get my measuring tape, and from the shoulder seam, from that shoulder seam, I'll mark out 4 inches. As you can see what I'm doing, I'll also do that for the back. I'll mark out 4 inches in length, just like that. As you can see what I'm doing, I'll mark it out like that, and I'll go ahead and I'll pin the edges. I'll pin the edges. While pinning this or while sewing, make sure you hold it in a curve way that it won't be noticeable that you went while stitching. I don't know how to explain this thing, but just watch carefully. Just pin it down that side and go ahead and pin it down the other side. So after pinning it down, I will sew it. I'll be gathering it and I'll be sewing it at the same time. If you have an industrial machine that you can use gathering food, or you have a tabletop machine that you can have a gathering food, go ahead and gather it first before sewing it. But since I don't have, I will gather while I sew. So this is it after sewing it or holding it down. I'll get my lining, place it right side facing right side, get the shoulder seams together, and I'll pin the neck. I'll pin down the neck. I'll pin it all the way round to the other shoulder, and I'll go ahead and I'll just sew only the front part. I'll sew only the front part. I'll be leaving the back side of the neck. So after sewing that front part, so this is it. After pinning it down, I'll go ahead and I'll sew it. I'll just sew it from one shoulder to the other shoulder. So after sewing it, I'll go ahead and I will notch the shoulders. This will make it to lie flat, as you can see. So after notching it like that, this is what I have. So I'll be holding one particular side of the shoulder. Just watch carefully, and I'll place the other side of the shoulder inside, just like that. This is for me to turn the shoulders or the armholes. Just watch carefully. I don't know how to explain this while talking, but I guess you can see what I'm doing. But just in case if you have any questions that is confusing to you, don't hesitate to ask me on the comment section. I'll be so happy to respond to your reply to you. So after pinning it down, I'll go ahead and I will sew. While sewing, make sure you don't sew in your net or the other part of the shoulder. I'll go ahead and I'll notch this part. After notching it, I'll bring it out. I'll bring it out. So after bringing it out, this is what it looks like. It looks so neat. It looks so neat. So what I'll be doing next is that I'll also be doing this same thing for the other shoulder. So after doing it, this is what it looks like, guys. As you can see, we are almost 25% done for this gown. So I went ahead and I top stitched at the back, and as that is on the lining, I top stitched at the neck as well, and I also top stitched at the armhole. So this is the strip that I'll be using for the loop. I'll go ahead, join them. If you have a straight fabric, there's no need for you to join. So what I'll do is that I'll fold in, sew, and I'll turn it out. I'll turn it inside out. So after doing that, this is what I have. So from the shoulder at the back, I'll be coming down by 5 inch, and I'll also be coming down by 5 inch from the other side. I'll go ahead and I'll set this together to make sure that they match up together. So after checking it, what I'll do is that I'll get the strip of fabric that we made the loop. I'll go ahead and I'll sew it to my main fabric, not the lining. I'll go ahead and I'll sew it. I'll sew it like a zigzag method. After, you can see, I'm sorry you can't see what I'm doing there, but if there is another way that you can sew in your loop, just go ahead and do that. I'll stitch it and I'll show you. So this is it. This is what I did. When I flip it inside like that, I have my loop. So I also did that same thing for the other side. So what I'll be doing next now is that I will finish off the neckline for the back. Remember when we were doing the front one, we stopped at the shoulder, so it's time for us to complete it. So I'll make sure that I have everything inside and I will pin it down. Be careful not to get any other material while sewing it, like the net or the other parts. Just be careful. I'll go ahead and I'll sew this down. So after sewing it down, I'll do the same thing for the other side as well. So this is it, guys. This is it so far. We've turned the back neck, as you can see. Our loop now is so neat and everything is now intact. So what I'll do next now is that I'll get the armhole, the armhole like that, the main fabric and the lining. I'll match the armhole seam like that. I will pin it down. I'll pin it down. I'll pin that place down, and I'll also pin it from the other side to the other side. So after pinning it down, I'll go ahead and I'll sew it with 1 inch. Remember we added 1.5 inch, but I'll be shaping it out with 1 inch, leaving half for the seam allowance. So this is it after sewing it. You can see the front and the back side, both of them are super neat. You can't identify the difference unless you saw the place that I stop stitched. That's how you know the back and the front, since I use the same satin doll face for the lining and for the main fabric. So what I'll do now is that I'll get the flay. This is a full flay. I'll get it and I'll open one side just like that, just one. Remember when we cut it out on the paper, I told you that while cutting it out, make sure you place your fabric on fold into 4. So that is what I did here, and I opened one particular side. So this is what I have. It's a full circle flay. So I'll get my net. I told you I'll be making use of just 2 because I want 2 layers of net. So I'll go ahead and I'll get one side of the net, and I'll also get the other side of the net. I'll place it I'll place it on top of each other, and I'll go ahead and join them together. I'll sew it together. If you have a gathering foot, this is perfect. Just go ahead and gather it down. If you don't have, you can use your thread and your needle, or you can sew a straight stitch, then you use a hand and gather. They are all the same thing. So this is mine. I gather as I sew. So this is mine, as you can see. So I'll get that my full flay again. I'll bring it back and I will get the center, the midpoint of this full flay, which is there, and I'll also get the midpoint of the tutu, the net, and I will pin it down. After pinning it down, I'll go ahead and pin the net down to pin it all the way round on the waistline of that my satin. I'll go ahead and I'll pin the tulle. I'll pin it round. Just watch and you'll see what I'm doing. While pinning, I'll go ahead and sew. While pinning, I didn't start at the very edge of the satin. As you can see what mine looks like. So I'll get my measuring tape and I'll measure out 1.5 inches. And initially I didn't start at the very edge of that doll face while I was sewing in my net. I don't know if you can see it, but here I'll be coming in by 1.5 inches, and the other part I'll also be coming in by 1.5 inches as well. So while sewing this to the top, I will be starting at that same 1.5 inches. So the 1.5 inches, I've also marked it out on my lining, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and I'll pin this to the upper part of the gown. I'll get the center piece of the full flay, and I'll pin it to the center piece of the upper part. So I'll pin it down like that, and I'll go ahead and I'll pin it down, not at the beginning of my tutu or my tulle. I'll be starting at that 1.5 inches. The reason for this is that, remember when we were cutting the back, we removed 1.5 inches. So that 1.5 inches is what we are removing back again. So I'll go ahead and I'll pin it down, and I'll also do the same thing at this other side. I'll be starting at that 1.5 inches as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll also pin this one down, and I'll also be doing the same thing for the lining as well. I'll be doing the same thing for the lining as well. So after pinning it down, I'll do the same thing from the lining. Just watch carefully and you'll see what I'm doing. So after pinning it down, actually I'll go ahead and I'll sew it. I'll sew it after pinning it down. So just watch carefully and you'll see what I'm doing. So guys, please, if you like my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you have any question or any recommendation or any other thing that you would like me to answer, just ask me on the comment section. So I'll go ahead and sew this. After sewing this, this is what I have. I've also overlocked the hem of the lining and the hem of my satin, as you can see. So what I'll be doing is that I'll be folding it in just like that, but that is after. So what I'll do next now is to add my zipper. I'm using an invisible zipper, but if you like, you can use an open zipper, is your choice. So what I'll be doing is that, remember, I didn't start at the very edge of this particular side with the net. I don't know if I can explain this, but I'll try my best. So I'll just pin it down to the doll face. I'll pin it down to the satin, not to the net. I'll pin it down to the satin, just like that, and I'll hold it down with a pin. And remember, my zipper is facing right side to my doll face or my satin. So after sewing it, I'll flip it up like that, and I'll also join the other side, as you can see. If you already know how to attach a zip, you can just skip this side and go ahead and attach your zipper. But if you don't know how to attach a zipper, you can watch carefully, and I hope that you understand what I'm doing there. So I'll just pin it down. I'll also pin it like that, just like I did the other side. So after doing this, actually I'll sew it. After sewing it, I'll also join the doll face or the satin like that, and I'll sew it like that. So I'll do it and I'll show you. So this is what it looks like after sewing it. As you can see, this is the invisible zipper, and I've also joined the doll face like that. So I'll just close it up like that. This is what it looks like. And I also use my normal butterfly sewing machine to attach this invisible zipper. If you would like me to make a video on how I do that, just let me know in the comment section and I will do that for you. So after doing that, what I'll do is that I will turn this zipper with the lining. If you already know how to turn the zipper with your lining, this is just super easy for you to do. You can just keep this side and go ahead and attach your zipper and turn it out with your lining. But if you don't know how to do this, just watch carefully. I don't think I can explain this, but just watch carefully and you will get what I'm doing there. I'll go ahead and I'll complete the waist measurement. I'll pin it down like that, and I'll join the waist. Trying to explain this is very difficult for me, but watch, you get me. And I'll also hold the lining down like that, and I'll hold it down like that, and I'll stitch it. I'll hold it and I'll stop somewhere there. This is actually where I stopped at the zipper in the front, so I'll also be doing that for the other side. This is the gown so far. As you can see, it's on my pretty little girl. This is the front part of the main part of the gown, and this is the lining. This is the inside. Can you see how super neat it is? So what I'll be doing next now is that I'll be folding in my my satin, the inside. I'll fold it in and I'll give it a good press. I'll iron it very well so that it will look very neat. So after folding the doll face in like that, I made this bow tie. If you also want me to show you a video of how I made this tie, just let me know in the comment section and I'll do the video for you. So I'll be using this ribbon that I actually got at the market. I'll be using this ribbon to tie the bag. So guys, this is the final look of the dress. As you can see, you can make this for your girl, you can make this and sell. Don't forget to use the hashtag #MyMakesWithSandra on Instagram so that I can see your beautiful makes and repost them. This is the back. Don't forget to give my video a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, comment. See you next on my video. Happy sewing.